can just start with your introduction.
Okay. Well, I am Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. My name is Mohammed Ahmed Pansota. I am a practicing lawyer. I'm an advocate of the Supreme Court of Pakistan and practicing since the last 20 years, mainly within the jurisdiction of Lahore, Islamabad, and Karachi. But of course, I appear in different cities of Pakistan. Apart from that, I am also involved in doing some of the media affairs, such as talk shows. I regularly appear on various TV channels in Pakistan, such as AFI, Geo, Capital. Then I was doing my own talk show initially, which is called Zanjeer Azam, and now I had shifted to PTV. But very recently, I've left all of that and started doing complete practice once again.
So the purpose of our conversation today is to get a legal perspective of the ongoing political situation in the country. Social media पर we have seen so many theories and claims कि इमरान खान ने जो constitutional जो किया है उसको constitution को violate किया है या कुछ लोग जो इमरान खान के supporters हैं they're saying that कि it was a necessary step to take. So the timeline starts from 3rd April where National Assembly Deputy Speaker Qasim Suri dismisses the no confidence vote by deeming it unconstitutional. The question that arises here is, according to the Speaker, what rendered the vote unconstitutional?
You see, one needs to understand the Constitution of Pakistan in its entirety. First of all, as young students, I must tell you that this country is being governed by the Constitution and not by any institution in this country, right? So we need to be absolutely clear that the driving force behind the working of a particular government is the upholding the Constitution in its true spirit. Now, what is the Constitution? What does the Constitution say? Constitution basically lays down three different sides, which is the executive, legislature, and then judiciary. All three of them have to work within their independent spheres. They cannot interfere in each other's affairs, which is called the concept of separation of powers. This is how a government is usually run, this is how judiciary is run, this is how constitution is implemented in its different spirit. Now, under the same very constitution, each organ has its role to play. I mean, we're talking about the parliament here. Article 69 of the Constitution of Pakistan says that the parliament is supreme, and parliament or the proceedings in the parliament cannot be questioned before any other forum, be it courts or any other. And such proceedings, if procedural in nature, now this is where the confusion stands. Now, Deputy Speaker Mr. Qasim Suri, in his wisdom, thought that the vote of no confidence which has been presented in the House against the ex-Prime Minister Mr. Imran Khan, he thought that that was based on mala fide and that was based on some external conspiracy by the United States of America. And the existing actors, being the PDM or the joint opposition, they played in the hands of United States of America, and therefore this particular thing was brought in the assembly. Now there are two ways of going about it. First of all, whether the deputy speaker had the power or the authority to dismiss something like that, under the pretext of this alleged foreign conspiracy. I am from that school of thought who feel that Qasim Suri, acting as the deputy speaker, could have done that, and if that was done, that should not have been questioned in the courts. However, what happened was that eventually it was taken to court, and the Honorable Supreme Court held that it is not a procedural matter. It is something beyond that. It is substantive in nature, and just Qasim Suri, what he did was not within his, he was not within his legal rights to do so. Therefore, that ruling was dismissed, and as a result, once again the government was reinstated, and the vote of no confidence went off.
So, as you mentioned, the concept of separation of powers. When we talk about the parliamentary system, when we talk about democracy, this concept is upheld very, very strongly in the West as well as it should be in Pakistan, right? So, do you think the court intervening in these procedures sets a very dangerous precedent for the Supreme Court intervening in any matter that it so supposes to be not being handled properly by the parliament?
You see, Pakistan has a history, especially judiciary in Pakistan has a history which is very dark, unfortunately. As lawyers, we appear before judiciary every day, and I must say that judiciary before 2007 is something that, at least as a lawyer, I would not like to associate myself with. This is the same judiciary which has legitimized military coups in Pakistan. This is the same judiciary which has passed one of the most absurd judgments in the history ever. So I don't have much expectation from the judiciary,
Right.
which was before 2007. But yes, judiciary after 2007, which was after the reinstatement of Iftikhar Chaudhary, and then of course dismissing General Pervez Musharraf, I had a lot of confidence in this judiciary, and therefore I feel and I felt and I still feel that they should not have involved themselves into anything frivolous or anything where the domain of the executive or the legislature starts. Because if you closely observe the Constitution of Pakistan, Article 68 says that judiciary cannot be called into question in the parliament, and 69 then says that parliamentary proceedings cannot be called into question before the courts. So there is a balance that has been kept.
Absolutely.
And there's a reason and purpose behind this balance. Because you see, what happens is when courts start questioning the political issues, or they start delving into political issues, then public reacts. That's exactly what's happening at the moment. You see the ex-Prime Minister reacting, he's taking it to public and he's saying that public will reply to this, and हम आवाम की अदालत में जाएंगे, अब ये करेंगे. Then all such narratives start building up, which is not good for any developing democracy. Therefore, I strongly feel that things should be allowed to evolve naturally. And then a very important question arises, then do you feel that, if there is an illegality by any parliamentarian, that should be left? My question in that case would be, if there is any illegality by a judge, or if there is any illegality that is being made by judges so many times, what has happened in that case? The answer is nothing. They've got their own Supreme Judicial Council which hardly reacts, except in a few selective cases. What has happened to Justice Qazi Faiz Issa is a classical example. I mean, Justice Qazi Faiz Issa was chosen, and there was an action which was taken against him, which the Prime Minister or the ex-Prime Minister now regrets doing. That's precisely what I'm citing. Let them evolve within their own affairs. I'll give you a bureaucratic example. Let's say I am the DIG Lahore, I am serving in Lahore, and there is a SSP Lahore. Both these designations have their own affairs within which they are supposed to work.
Yes.
So if we start interfering in each other's affairs, there will be a chaos.
Exactly.
That is exactly what happens here. I understand the judiciary was very conscious of taking note of what was happening in the parliament. So was every Pakistani. Though I don't believe what Qasim Suri did, he should not have done that, but once again there is a mechanism provided within the parliamentary democracy. People will vote them out, people will take care of that. It was not the judiciary's job. Judiciary's job is to dispense justice to a common man and decide those maybe millions of cases which are pending before the courts. That is what they're supposed to do.
But then again, there are people who are advocating for this decision, people who are saying, okay, so the Supreme Court intervening was a good thing and it should have happened. And their line of reasoning is, accountability aa sakti hai. If we leave the parliament to do whatever they so please, and if we leave, as you mentioned, the judiciary to do whatever they so please, then we're going to have anarchy and we're going to have chaos, because there's going to be no accountability. So what do you propose, keeping in mind again parliamentary sovereignty in one hand and keeping accountability in another? How do these two things coincide?
I am all for judicial review of administrative actions. There are two provisions in the Constitution. One is Article 199, which is a very famous provision for the writ jurisdiction. You can challenge any government action for the High Courts under 199. And then there is 1843 in the Supreme Court, which is called, which are also referred to as the suo motu proceedings. Then the Supreme Court feels there is a question of public importance, a violation of a fundamental right, they can take care of that. But the confines have been defined under the Constitution and case law which is developed from time to time. Then there is a provision, Article 1872, which says that in achieving anything that Supreme Court wants to do, they can do complete justice, which is a godly power, I believe. But that has to be dispensed with very, very restrictively and in an atmosphere which does not sort of interfere with the others. Now you've asked a very important and a pertinent question, that if they are left to do whatever they want. My question to you would be that this question stems from the presumption that judiciary is a supreme and right. When you say the parliamentarians can do anything, in essence what you're saying is that no matter what they do, judiciary should check it and then there should be no check. Right?
Yes.
Because once a decision has been passed by these 17 people, or any one of these 17 people, who will check that? There is a general saying that Allah Ta'ala ke paas hi jata hai. My response to that would be that anybody who's elected by 250,000 people, for me, is far more supreme than a person who's appointed as a judge.
Absolutely.
He is within his legal confines to judicially review whatever he wants, remaining within the confines of the constitution. But if you start reviewing each and everything, like just take example of an office, like a bank, if an executive vice president is signing everything and the president starts checking each and every document, there will be a chaos. There will be friction.
Yes.
So that's exactly, you need to let go of certain cases. Now, which ones to let go of? That's the question. Was it the Qasim Suri's case? But I can give you examples. Iftikhar Chaudhry passed a judgment in, I think, 99-2000 when he said General Pervez Musharraf is not only the president of Pakistan, he is fully authorized to amend this constitution. He can do away with this constitution. He can do whatever he wants for 3 years. Now, under what authority did he pass that judgment?
Exactly.
Under what law, what constitution could he have done that? And then later, very conveniently, they apologized. Moving on to Naseem Hasan Shah Sahab. Naseem Hasan Shah Sahab convicted Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, sitting Prime Minister, and he was sent to gallows. And later, 20-30 years down the line, they say, bas hamare se badi galti ho gayi thi. So is that how we're going to hold them accountable? Is there no mechanism whereby they can be sent to gallows? On the contrary, now let's talk about politicians. Each and every politician has served a sentence. Let's start with Asif Ali Zardari. People may have a perception that he's corrupt. Even if we are, forced to believe that he's corrupt, he served 12 years of sentence. Coming on to Mohtamma Benazir Bhutto, Bibi Shaheed, one of the greatest politicians this country has ever produced, she was assassinated. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, I just gave you an example. Ex-Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, he was ousted by the judiciary, right? Rightly or wrongly, I'm not talking about
Yes,
that.
of course.
Panama case is one of the most commented cases, one of the most criticized cases. कि जी मुझे क्यों निकाला? That narrative was set up. कि आपने मुझे for not drawing a salary, you sent me out, right? Now come to Imran Khan. Imran Khan once again ousted by the Supreme Court. So my question to the honourable judges is that is it only the parliament which is supposed, or the parliamentarians who are supposed to face this justice, or will someday the judiciary also face that? What if parliament decides to do away with the judgment of the Supreme Court by passing a 2/3 majority and say कि जी हम आपकी judgment को नहीं मानते, आपकी बड़ी फजूल judgment थी, और बहुत सारी ऐसी हैं जिनको नहीं मानना चाहिए. हमारे कोई बंदिश है आर्टिकल 189 की that we are supposed to follow it, but then there are judgments. I don't want to cite them here because then it will become controversial. Why should we follow it? Even the judges know that the judgments were not rightly passed. So yes, that's the balance. So if you remain within your dabba, if you remain within your box, you will progress. And this has been tried and tested in Western democracies.
Exactly.
This is not something which is happening for the first time in Pakistan. This has been tried and tested.
Right after the dismissal of the vote of confidence, we saw Mr. Imran Khan dismissing the assemblies. Again, that is another point that has held immense controversy. So when we take a look at the constitution, it says that a prime minister, jiske against vote of confidence has not been voted upon, or on which vote of confidence has been passed, that prime minister does not have the authority to dismiss the assemblies. But here we see a very peculiar case, right? Here the vote was dismissed altogether. It wasn't not voted upon, it was just dismissed. So when we take that into perspective and we take the controversy, him dismissing the assemblies was unconstitutional and the court reverting his decision, how does that come into it?
See, first of all, Imran Khan reacted. Let me show you. Imran Khan reacted. So this is exactly the overlap that I was referring to. He reacted. In his hearts of hearts, he knew that this decision is not right. But once the decision had been passed by the Supreme Court, we were bound to follow that. And of course, we could not. What I have said before this question relates to my views on what Supreme Court should do. But once it has passed a decision, then of course none of us can challenge that. Under Article 189 and 201 of the Constitution, we are bound to follow that. So that becomes a fast and close transaction, what we are discussing right now. Once that was passed, Imran Khan should not have reacted. What he essentially did was that once that judgment was passed, or once that resolution was passed, he thought that the vote of no confidence has been thrown away. Therefore, there was nothing on record which stopped Imran Khan from taking any action.
Exactly.
Hence, he did that. However, when courts held that the speaker's ruling was not right, automatically everything revived. So Imran Khan was playing politics. Judiciary was, I would say, I don't know how to put it, but judiciary was certainly using its powers beyond the mandate which has been prescribed under the Constitution. However, they are still at liberty to do so because they have a power under Article 1872 which says they can do complete justice. So वो खुदाई ताकत है ना, खुदा ताला भी बैठे बैठे किसी को भी खत्म करते, तो we can't question that. It's like one of those things. So वही balance है. आपको just to understand, because when we were studying constitutional law, I was always confused about this concept. कि जी there has to be a white line, there has to be a red line, sorry, कि इधर है इधर है. So our professors used to say कि there cannot be a red line. The red lines have to be understood in entirety. You have a house. In a house, you've got siblings, you've got mother, father, everybody, right? You don't determine their roles. कि अब्बा जी आपने 9 बजे निकल के सुबह इतने बजे वापस आना. These roles are gradually determined by by everybody living in the house. So you understand that this is the role, and I don't want to ascribe any role to any particular person because I don't believe in that, and I think everything can be done by anybody. But gradually you ascribe roles. Let's say if the lady of the house is working, the male counterpart will start looking after the other affairs. If the male is working, the other, so it's vice versa. But if you start interfering, सोचे सुबह 9 बजे उठ के बीवी भी कह रही मैंने भी कब जाना है, मियाँ भी कह मैंने भी जाना है और बच्चे पीछे बैठे हैं, तो कौन उसका ख्याल करेगा? So it's like one of those things. You know your roles, but then you can of course overlap. But you must not overlap if you want a healthy house, if you want a healthy environment in a house. So it's like something similar to that.
So as you mentioned that when Imran Khan made this decision of dissolving the assemblies, he thought that the vote had been dismissed. Therefore, according to him, whatever he did was under his power, under his jurisdiction. So keeping that in mind, do you think it's right for us to criticize him for doing that move, considering that the Supreme Court's decision came after his decision to dissolve the assemblies?
Well, we can have two views about it, right? My view is that he was just trying to assert his power as a parliamentarian, and Supreme Court was not letting him do that. But then there's a converse view that he was disrespecting the verdict by the Supreme Court. But let me tell you, both these institutions are trying to enforce their powers. And when, what do you call that, Newton's law, to every action there is an opposite
equal and
reaction.
opposite, yeah.
So but if it exceeds, then there is chaos,
Yes.
right? We are moving towards a chaos. Both these institutions need to realize that they have to work within this sphere. Now what will happen? There's apparently a jalsa in Lahore today, right?
Yes.
What if people, there is a perception which is being built against judiciary, military establishment, which is not good.
Absolutely.
I regularly appear on Indian channels. Trust me, it is very difficult to justify what's happening in Pakistan. So you are there just trying to justify कि जी हमारी chief of army staff जो हैं उन्होंने ये किया वो किया फलाना. I think what Imran Khan said yesterday in his Twitter space, it is very important. You must not say anything about the institutions, which includes military, which includes judiciary. You are bound to respect them. And at the same time, all these institutions must try and define their confines, including Imran Khan. Imran Khan does not have the impunity to say whatever he wants about anybody.
Absolutely.
He may be the ex-prime minister, or he may be the sitting prime minister at some later point in time, but still he's governed by the constitution and the confines within the constitution. He is not completely at liberty to say whatever he wants. कि जी मैं ये नहीं मानता, मैं वो नहीं मानता. You can't do that. This is not the opposition leader. This is not Imran Khan sitting in Dharna tearing those electricity bills and all that. No. Now he needs to behave very, I would say, responsibly, because people like you and lot many other people are his voters, right?
Exactly.
So we will also pick up from that. कि जी हमारा prime minister जो था वो ये कह रहा तो चलो जी किसी के घर में घुस जाओ. This can lead to civil war, and then statements have to be very carefully passed by their party leaders कि जी civil war हो सकती है, कुछ भी हो सकती है. This is something you're giving them an idea. If I tell you कि यार आप cheating करके A levels clear कर सकते हो, that's an idea which I'm instilling in your mind. I should be telling you कि अगर आप cheating करोगे तो आप for life ban हो जाओगे, so that you don't even think about that illegality. So I think let's not talk about those possibilities which can cause chaos, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is Pakistan and the Constitution of Pakistan. For me, nothing is more important. Be it Imran Khan, Nawaz Sharif, anybody, or Bajwa, or anybody. For me, the most important thing is Pakistan. If Pakistan remains on track and is protected under the confines of the Constitution, I'm okay with it.
So, as you mentioned, people are very, very heavily criticizing both the judiciary and the army. But this is a preconceived notion that has been very prevalent for a very long time. So you see people even our age, when we're conversing with our fellows all of them, all they're saying is, oh, the army ka haath hai, yeah, judiciary too complacent hai, etc. So where do you think we went wrong if you look at history? Where do you think we came up with this narrative, and as a nation we've instilled in ourselves this narrative that we're not actually the masters of our fate when it comes to choosing our democratic leaders. It's all in playing out in the hands of either the army or the judiciary.
I think you want this to be your first and the last interview and my last interview after I answer this question with with utmost honesty. But I will do so because I think in front of young kids I should not be mincing words. See, let me tell you, the history of Pakistan is very clear. We are a country which has so many number of military coups. We are a country where judicial coups have happened. We are a country where politicians have disappointed us to the core. That is why military intervenes, right? So all three institutions have disappointed us to the core, which is very sad. Now all these three institutions must evolve within their own spheres. Military on the on the fighting side, or on the, I would say, ground, has been very good. But at the same time, there have been instances where military has interfered in the constitution of Pakistan, which apparently the recent leadership of military has themselves completely spoken against, which is good actually, which is a welcome move. So Pakistan is going through a major reorientation in terms of evolution of all three institutions. So if you look at the past, we don't have a very glorious past. So my suggestion as a lawyer, as a constitutional, I would say, commentator would be, अपने काम से काम अगर सब लोग रखेंगे, things will develop. अगर हम अपने काम से काम नहीं रखेंगे, कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता.
Absolutely. So another very interesting point that has come up is the foreign conspiracy that has been mentioned by Imran Khan. When we look at the United States of America, right, we see that they do have a history of intervening in other countries. They do have a history of instilling essentially puppet leaders. But when we think about Pakistan, when we think about all of this playing out, when we think about the timeline of the events, when Imran Khan introduced the conspiracy, everything playing out, so there are two narratives that are being built here. His supporters who are supporting him blindly, they're obviously feeding into the narrative. But then there are also people who are very confused, who are saying, okay, if you have proof, if you have the memo, why don't you show it to us? Or furthermore, if you knew about this conspiracy for a long time, then why wasn't it revealed to us then? So they didn't think that this is just a ploy to get himself out of whatever compromised position he's found himself in.
I think it can be both. There is certainly an element of, I wouldn't use the word conspiracy, but there is certainly an element of American interference. I'm restricting myself to this particular instance, and that instance is now well documented. That is sort of proved by a document that Imran Khan keeps showing different people, and he is under oath to protect that document. Then there's an Official Secrets Act of Pakistan, whereby he cannot just let it out. So he had to declassify it only for few people, and he eventually did show it to those few people. One of them being Qasim Suri and the other being Asad Kaisar. Both of them thought that the document is good enough for them to resign from their position. So there is something in place. But then as far as it being a ploy is concerned, of course they're all politicians. So even if they get the slightest of thing, they're going to use it. So if it be American conspiracy, Jaag Punjabi Jaag, Sindh Vase, Pakistan Khappe, all of these things are political gimmicks that have been used to, I would say, I don't know what, but we've been made to vote for somebody just believing on these notions, which are, I think, political notions. This is where the parliamentarians go wrong. मैं सड़कें बना दूंगा, मैं ये कर दूंगा, उठो गरीबों, रोटी कपड़ा मकान. So I don't see that happening ever. So if at least one of them had done that, even Imran Khan for that, Imran Khan had promised so much, but I don't see, or I didn't see at least 10% of that happening. So then I have reasons to believe that Imran Khan will use a ploy to come back in power. So then is it all about being in power, or is it beyond that? I think it should be about delivering on your manifesto, and you should not worry about coming back into power. If you're not in power, serve in the opposition. But just because you want to come back into power, if at all you're using this as a ploy, this is not right. You're playing with the sentiments of this country. You're playing with the sentiments of young voters like you. I'm very sure that you guys are, PTI voters, because youngsters बहुत ज़्यादा उसको vote करते हैं. So if at the end of the day you've also started feeling that कि जी हमारे सेंटिमेंट से खेला जा रहा है, तो दिस इज समथिंग डेफिनेटली नॉट राइट. उर्दू में कहते हैं खल के ज़ुबान को नकारा है खुदा समझो. सो व्हेन पीपल स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट समथिंग, देयर इज सर्टेनली समथिंग राइट अबाउट इट. This is the basic principle of constitution. This is what the will of the people means. This is what the preface of the constitution says, that will of the people is reflected through the vote, and vote then bring all of these parliamentarians into power. So that is your will which is reflected in the parliament.
Absolutely.
So if your will is not that, it is different, then he's certainly violating your will, or he is certainly holding that will on trust, which he's violating to the core. So my argument would then be that one has to be very, very careful with what he does, because this is a position of power. This is something that you are holding on trust. अब आप उसको मिसयूज करते हैं, चाहे आप कोई भी हो. इमरान खान के बहुत सारे स्टेप्स हैं जिनको क्रिटिसाइज करना बनता है,
Exactly.
and I do that openly because my loyalty is not to Imran Khan. My loyalty under Article 5 of the Constitution is to the state.
Exactly.
The same very article which was used by the law minister to demonstrate that they were not loyal to the state.
Mhm.
So all of these citizens of Pakistan should not be Imran frenzy, Nawaz frenzy, or Zardari frenzy. We are loyal to the state, and if I feel in my loyalty, in my wisdom, my loyalty demands that I should be voting for a particular person, I should do that. So make sure, as youngsters, your loyalty should be towards the state and not anybody else.
As you mentioned, when it comes to voting, we've seen an increased trend of people our age, teenagers, getting increased participation in voting. Whereas you would think, considering the amount of times politicians or people in power have let us down, we would come towards a more apolitical environment. However, we go working towards the opposite. But right now, what we see is people in power who have, every time you open Instagram, you open the news, you see, okay, oh, another parliamentarian, he has these many cases against him. Another parliamentarian, he's on bail. So what you're seeing is people who are avoiding the judiciary, who are avoiding the rule of law, put into power, whose very job is to make sure that one of their jobs is to make sure the rule of law is implemented. So when we can't expect that from the people who are in power, then how can we expect it from the common man?
This is exactly the perception that I'm talking about. You see, when you take up these cases, my question to you that as far as perception is concerned, though I don't believe in that, Asif Ali Zardari was considered to be a corrupt man. He has served 12 years of imprisonment. Was he convicted? The answer is no. So most of these cases are made to change their loyalties. So most of these cases are fake. This is where the other organs of the state should look into. Why isn't judiciary deciding all of these political cases within 1 month?
Exactly.
If they can decide political cases within 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, why can't you sort of fix these cases? 1 महीने में सारे parliamentary cases हम decide करेंगे. Why can't you do that? Why? Because these cases are kept to make sure that they are in check. So आप जिस तरह कल एक बात हुई कि नई कैबिनेट आई, इसमें से 24 लोग बेल पे हैं.
Exactly.
So इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि if I get a case registered against you and you're on bail, are you persona non grata? You need to check that क्या वो 24 लोगों के ऊपर cases ठीक हैं कि नहीं ठीक हैं. And I can assure you 24 में से 20 पर गलत हो. But हम उन पे cases बना के उनके ऊपर एक केस बनने से एक आदमी गंदा नहीं हो जाता. केस तो शायद मेरे पे इस बात को भी बन सकता है, मैं बाहर निकलूँ कि मैंने अपनी बिजली का बिल नहीं पे किया, मेरे पे हो सकता है कोई criminal charges लग जाए. So does that make me a wrong person? Maybe I omitted or I forgot to pay that. क्या आपने कभी ये केसेस उन लोगों पे बनते देखे जिनका जिक्र हम थोड़ी देर पहले कर रहे थे? The answer is no. क्या इस मुल्क में कभी कोई जज करप्ट नहीं आया? The answer is कि जजेस के मुताबिक यस नहीं आया. आपने कभी किसी जज, सीनियर जज को करप्शन में निकलते देखा है? So are we supposed to believe कि judges are completely holier than everybody else? The answer is no. Selective आपकी accountability है. Politicians ने हमेशा accountability face की है, जिसकी वजह से they have the audacity to come up and say कि जी हमें तो जेलें हुई, हमें तो ये हुई. वो फिर उसको negatively भी use करते हैं. So ये आपका across the board. When you have National Accountability Bureau only targeting the politicians and you don't see a single judge, military man or anybody else part of that, then you're forced to believe that this narrative is wrong. So my argument is, if you want a National Accountability Commission, go for it, but make it, everybody should be held accountable. Why only the politicians? And then, youngsters like you, and you have every right to say कि जी हम क्यों इनको बात सुने, ये जो जिन पे cases हैं. आपकी एज पर केसेस को समझा जाता है गलत है. इंग्लैंड में बात आपकी ठीक होगी, अमेरिका में ठीक होगी, पाकिस्तान में तो केस बना के ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स बनते हैं. इमरान खान के ऊपर एंटी टेररिज्म का केस भी था, हेलीकॉप्टर गलत इस्तेमाल करने का केस भी था, अब तोशा खाना का केस भी बनेगा। तो आर वी फोर्स्ड टू बिलीव ही इज करप्ट? अब आप इसका जवाब में अपने योर हार्ट्स ऑफ हार्ट्स सुने, आप कहेंगे नहीं 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 यार उसको तो गलत केसेस बने। सो नवाज शरीफ चूंकि ए पर्टिकुलर वोटर डजंट लाइक हिम, वो कहते हैं नहीं ये सारे ठीक बने हुए। पॉइंट ये क्रॉस द बोर्ड सही केसेस बनाओ, और बनाने की जरूरत नहीं, खुद ही केस बने, ऑटो पे हो, नेशनल अकाउंटेबिलिटी ब्यूरो इंडिपेंडेंट हो, आपका काम खत्म हो जाए। और इन केसेस को डिसाइड करो, डोंट यूज देम एज अ नैरेटिव बिल्डिंग मेजर कि जी हमने इमरान खान को यहाँ से वहाँ करना है, उसको वहाँ से वहाँ करना है, ये करना है। आई थिंक मेरे नज़दीक ये सियासत हो रही है पाकिस्तान।
So just to conclude all this conversation that we've had, at this point in time, what do you think is the course of action this country needs to take to ensure that democracy is in place, our courts are completely impartial, and we're not moving towards anarchy? Because as you've mentioned before, जो जलसे हो रहे हैं उसमें यही नारे आ रहे हैं कि कि do away with the courts, do away with the army, do away with the opposition. So essentially that's what we're moving towards. So what do you think, what would your message be towards everybody is going to be listening, especially people from our age who are going to be voting this year? It's going to be the first year of us voting. What do you think we should be looking for when we're looking to vote for a particular candidate, and what do you think we should be wary of? And
देखिए, as far as voting is concerned, एक तो you must vote, everybody must vote. जो वोट नहीं करता उसको मैं तो समझता हूँ आपको अपने ग्रुप्स में रिडिक्यूल करना चाहिए। रिडिक्यूल तो शायद वर्ड सही ना, उसको होल्ड हिम अकाउंटेबल कि you have no right to criticize now for the next 5 years. Make sure everybody votes, because only 30-40% of people vote. So 100 में से that is hardly any majority. जैसे ऑस्ट्रेलिया में तो कंपल्सरी वोटिंग है, 97-98% करते हैं। एक तो वोट करें, दूसरा वोट करने से पहले try and dig out their manifestos. All these manifestos are available online. सबकी वेबसाइट से पढ़े, बड़े खूबसूरत से बने हुए होते हैं, एंड यू विल सी कि क्या कर रहे हैं और क्या करते हैं। यू विल सी इफ यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर अ जॉब, आप उस कंपनी की प्रोफाइल देखते हो, हर चीज़ देखते हो, एंड देन यू डिसाइड
exactly.
if you're choosing your country's representative, why can't you see his profile, and you will get the answer. Thirdly and most importantly, the loyalty should be to the Constitution of Pakistan, to the rule of law, and not to anybody. This blind following, be it that of Imran Khan, be it that of Nawaz Sharif or anybody, is not right. You can love your leader, you can follow him, but you can't blindly follow him.
Exactly.
Even अगर आप religiously देखें, even you are not blindly supposed to follow your parents, except in one situation कि जी अगर वो आपको नमाज वगैरह से रोके, उसके अलावा आप उनको कर सकते हैं। तो अगर वहाँ इजाज़त नहीं, तो आप इमरान खान और इनके लिए जो सड़कों पर लेट रहे हैं और मर रहे हैं, ये मत करें। आप तहकीक करें, आप पहले पढ़ें, और पढ़ने के बाद अपना सही फैसला करें, और अपनी लॉयल्टी सिर्फ कानून के साथ रखें, अपनी लॉयल्टी पाकिस्तान से रखें। अब आजकल भी मैं देखें, I would also like to comment on that, as youngsters you should know कि इमरान खान के जलसों का मतलब ये नहीं है कि अपनी हर चीज़ छोड़ दो। मैं तो इधर लोगों को जानता हूँ जिन्होंने गाड़ियाँ जला दी, ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया। There is, you can respect your leader, but then जहालत और उसमें भी फ़र्क होना चाहिए। Just आज आप जाएं, open the website, pull out a document, and you will see कि इमरान खान ने क्या किया, क्या नहीं किया। अब जो भी उसके reasons हो कि मुझे ये नहीं करने दिया, मुझे वो नहीं, तो इस तरह तो हर कोई जो है ना, they can come up with reasons, and then based on that make an informed decision, and then vote, and inshallah you will see the result.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure talking to youngsters who are that conscious of their political rights. It is good to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you.